welcome back to Story Stash. I'm your host Duncan, and these are some of my stories I've written. Today I'm reading from my book Ghost Whisperer, and this is chapter 13. So let's get started. Chapter 13. The next day, Ed was working on software bug fixes. His phone rang. It was Ellen. "Hello, Ellen." "Hello, Ed. I hadn't heard from you for several days. Is everything okay?" said Ellen. "I'm sorry about that. I was very busy." "Would you have time to meet me and we can catch up this evening?" Ed considered her question. He had nothing planned this evening. Connor might turn up. He still had a book to finish. "Okay. Do we meet at your place again?" "Sure. See you after your work." The call ended. Ed put down his phone and resumed work. At the end of the workday, Ed closed his computer. He left work and returned to his car. This time he knew where Ellen lived. No need for him to check. It took him less than an hour to arrive. He pulled up at the entrance gate. "Hello. I have an appointment with Ellen Morgan," said Ed. "Are you Ed Tanner?" asked the security guard. "Yes, that's me." "Go right ahead. You're expected." Ed drove ahead and pulled up outside the mansion. He exited his car. Ellen was standing at the entrance. "Come inside. It's cold out here," she said. He followed her inside, and she led him through the maze until they reached the family room. Ellen turned to face Ed and hugged him. "I'm so happy to see you again," she said. Ed wasn't sure how to respond to that. He hugged her back briefly. They sat down on a sofa together. Ellen handed Ed a beer. "Tell me all that's happened since we last met." "I'm now a medicine man and an honorary member of the Duwamish tribe." "Wow, how did that happen?" "Not everyone returns as a ghost. They can reincarnate as an animal. I found I can talk with them." "That's amazing." "Agreed. I've spoken with a crow, a bear, and a bobcat." "Do they speak different languages?" she asked. "I don't know. To me they're just talking in English." "You should ask others to witness or record the conversation. It might be interesting." "That's a good idea. Next time I'll ask someone to do that for me." "And your ability makes you a medicine man?" "I guess so. Communicating with the deceased is highly valued by the tribe." "It's a big thing to anyone. Because of it you saved me." "I helped. Connor played a larger role. And besides, you saved me, so we're even," said Ed. "Right." Ellen took a drink of her beer. Ed did the same. "There's more. I saw a mummy at the museum," said Ed. "A mummy?" "A ghost that resembled a mummy. Other people couldn't see it, only I could. Dare I repeat myself, but that's amazing." "The mummy spoke in an old Egyptian language. Fortunately, I found someone to translate." "You can see and hear dead people?" she asked. "And you were in a coma. A coma is like death. And now I'm awake." They both smiled. Ellen fetched a plate of nachos with cheese and stuff on it. She placed it on the table in front of Ed. "I hope you like this," she said. Ed picked up a few nachos and tasted them. Ellen watched him. "They're good, thanks." "I'm glad." They ate nachos and drank beer in companionable silence for a while. "So, what's next for you?" she asked. "I hope the ghosts stop talking about me. I've helped some of them, but I want an ordinary life," said Ed. "What about Connor? If he's polite and doesn't turn up too often, I owe him for rescuing me." "You owe me too." "Yes, you too. I already have a job I like. I don't want another job. Passing an occasional message for Connor is okay." "And you'll see me. I'd like to see you again." "Sure, I'll meet with you. You know about my life and the challenges I face," said Ed. You can be yourself with me. We understand each other." Ellen smiled. Ed crunched on some nachos. Later, on his way home, Ed drove past an old building. He sensed nothing different, but something else sensed him. A special ghost called a poltergeist detected his presence. There was something different about Ed. The poltergeist followed Ed home. Of course, Ed didn't know it. Ed pulled into the parking lot beneath his apartment complex. As he got out of his car, he heard knocking noises. He dismissed it as water pipes, and he took the elevator up to his unit. As he entered his living room, the poltergeist followed. Normally, poltergeists were invisible, and they used their abilities to move things around or knock things off shelves. Ed sat on his sofa and picked up his current reading book, thinking he had enough time for a chapter or two before bed. The poltergeist considered it amusing to grab the book and throw it across the room. He reached out for the book, but something happened. Ed moved the book out of reach and looked the poltergeist in the eye. "Get your own book," said Ed. This so startled the poltergeist it jumped back. "You can see me?" "Yes, I can see you. Why, are you usually invisible?" "Yes. You're different from others of the living." "I am. I can see ghosts. Not my choice, but I can. I can see you." "Not your choice?" asked the poltergeist. "A while back someone mugged me. They hit me on the head. Since then, I can see ghosts. I didn't want this." "That sounds bad." "Tell me about it. Every night, and sometimes during the day, ghosts bother me. Most of them want my help. Some almost got me killed." Ed was getting worked up. Life wasn't fair to him. "Wow, I didn't know. That is bad. And tonight you come over and try to take my book. I simply wanted to read a chapter or two. Is that too much to ask?" No, when you put it that way, it sounds reasonable." "Good. So if you need my help, make an appointment, and don't touch my book." Ed impressed the poltergeist. He came to play tricks on Ed to torture him a little. Ed had already experienced torture. His work was already done. "Where do I make an appointment?" asked the poltergeist. "Go talk to Connor. He's a ghost. You might find him around police headquarters." "I'll do that. Sorry for bothering you." The poltergeist slinked off. It was the first time someone had ever forced him to leave. Usually he had the upper hand. Ed waited a moment before opening his book. Igor Levron was a gardener. He worked at a greenhouse in the greater Seattle area, or at least he used to be a gardener. He'd passed away several years ago. Igor continued to work at the greenhouse. His ghost floated around and checked on various plants. He could no longer carry a shovel or water anything, but he had the intention of caring for the plants. He thought little of the new gardeners. He wanted to tell them what to do, what they'd missed, but they could neither see nor hear him. His inability to do what he used to do caused him to get cranky. This night something unusual happened. 2 villains picked the lock and broke into the greenhouse. They dug a hole in his precious flower bed and buried something there. Then they filled the hole and carefully locked the door by which they'd entered. This was too much. He seethed with anger at these trespassers and what they did to his flower bed. Igor floated out of the greenhouse and toward police headquarters, forgetting that reporting a crime was rather impossible. At police headquarters, Connor saw Igor approach. He floated to meet him. "Hello, are you in need of help?" asked Connor. "If I didn't need help, I wouldn't be here." "You'd best tell me the details, and I'll see what I can do," said Connor. Connor listened to Igor, then he smiled. "I have a friend among the living that can help you. Why don't you leave it with me? I'll need to discuss it with him. Then we can meet you at your greenhouse. I accept your offer. Hopefully it can be done soon. Igor then departed. Connor arrived at Ed's workplace the next day. He floated down through the ceiling and stopped at Ed's cubicle. Ed smiled and stood and walked to the janitor's closet and shut the door. Connor arrived a moment later. "Hello, Connor," said Ed. "Hello, Ed. I have a new project for you. We can handle it after work this evening." "Oh, yes? What sort of project?" "I met a ghost that haunts a greenhouse," he said. "Someone buried something in his flower bed. He needs you to dig it up and remove it." "That sounds easy enough. Is the place locked? Do I need to bring a shovel?" "Not locked, and he has a shovel you can use." Ed considered Connor's request. If he didn't get arrested for breaking and entering, no harm would come to him. "Well, come back around 6 p.m. We can go from here." "Will do," said Connor. He floated out through the door. Ed returned to his cubicle. Around 6 p.m., Connor returned to Ed's workplace. Once Ed saw him, he nodded and shut down his computer. He walked out to his car. Connor appeared in the front passenger seat. "You'll provide directions," said Ed. It wasn't a question. Connor provided him the needed directions. In under an hour, he pulled up outside a large greenhouse. Ed exited his car. "Connor, are you sure we aren't breaking and entering?" "Well, we're invited by the gardener. He's dead, but he used to be the gardener here." Ed grumbled at that remark. "Wait here, I'll fetch the gardener. He can guide us in," said Connor. Ed stood and waited. It was quiet and nobody was around. He felt a little relieved. A few minutes later, Connor returned with another ghost. "Ed, this is Igor, the gardener." "Igor, this is Ed," said Connor. "Please come this way," said Igor. They entered via a side door. Igor gave him the code to open the lock. At least he wouldn't have to break his way in. Once inside, Ed learned there wasn't a security system to turn off. That was a relief. Igor led them to a cupboard. "You'll find a shovel in there," he said. Ed picked up the shovel, and they followed Igor to one of the many flower beds. "You'll need to dig here," said Igor. He pointed at a spot. "Be careful of the adjacent plants. Their roots are delicate." Ed dug at the spot and piled the soil to one side. Igor watched him carefully, lest he injure any plant. A few minutes later, Ed found it, a small bag buried about 2 feet deep. He retrieved it and was about to open the bag to see the contents. "Never mind that. Put the soil back carefully," said Igor. Ed pushed the soil back into the hole and patted it down. He looked at Igor, who nodded. He wasn't very appreciative. "Ed, let's take the bag home and inspect it there," said Connor. Ed took the bag and the shovel. He returned the shovel to the cupboard before leaving the building. Igor remained inside with his precious plants. Back in his car, Ed drove for home. Connor sat beside him. "He really cares about his plants," said Ed. "Yes, he just wanted us to remove the foreign object from the flower bed." "I wonder what's in the bag." "I have an idea, but let's wait till you get home," said Connor. Once inside his living room, Ed opened the small bag and tipped the contents onto his coffee table. "They're diamonds," said Ed. "I thought as much. Now you can retire," said Connor. "But I like my work. These diamonds probably belong to someone. I'm sure they'll miss them." "The ghost only wanted you to remove them, which you've done. You get to keep them. Finders keepers." "No, I want to return them to their rightful owners." "Very well, your loss. Diamonds mean little to me. When I was alive, money was a means to an end. I always had what I needed to get my assignments done. I must return these diamonds to their rightful owner." "Might I suggest you talk with Ellen? You said she employed detectives. She also knows you talk with ghosts. A good idea. I don't feel comfortable having these here. Ed called Ellen. Hello, it's Ed. I need your help. Is it too late to come over? I'll let the guard know you're coming. See you soon. Connor left for the evening. His work was done. Ellen called the guard to warn them of an incoming visitor. Then she ordered a pot of coffee and some snacks. I wonder what's the matter, she thought. Ellen made her way to the main entrance. Still, most of this mansion went unused. She preferred the smaller family room. Perhaps she'd buy a smaller home and keep this for special events. Ellen didn't have to wait long. Ed's car pulled in near the entrance. She wondered if she could buy him a new car without him objecting. An abundance of wealth with no one to spend it on. I'm sorry to bother you late at night, said Ed. Please stop that. I'll help you at any time. Please come in. He followed her inside, and she led him through the maze until they reached the family room. Ellen turned to face Ed and hugged him tight. I'm so glad you came over. I've been thinking about you, she said. Ed glanced at her, wondering what to say. She still held on to him and looked expectant. He pressed on with his issue. I was helping a ghost this evening, and I dug up this, said Ed. He held out the small bag. Ellen disengaged to look at the bag. It's dirty, she said. Well, I discovered it buried in a flower bed. The ghost insisted I dig it up and remove it. See what's inside. Ellen poured some diamonds into her hand. Cut diamonds? Yes, I figure a thief buried them in the flower bed, planning to dig them up later. Right, and how can I help you? I need to return them to their rightful owner, but I don't know how. She poured the diamonds back into the bag. If you leave this with me, I'll put some detective on this tomorrow. Thank you. That's a load off my chest. I didn't feel comfortable with those in my apartment. No worries. Would you like a coffee? Yes, please. They left the bag of diamonds on the table, and she guided Ed to the sofa. Ellen sat down close beside him and poured 2 coffees from a pot. She handed Ed a cup. This was amazing coffee, better than coffee from an expensive coffee shop. I had some snacks prepared in case you were hungry, she said, holding a tray and offering the contents. Ed took something. Thank you. That's very thoughtful. I hadn't had dinner yet. I can arrange for more for you, whatever you'd like. No, this is fine, thanks. The snack tasted good. Ed felt awkward. He wanted to spare her from all the trouble. She was already doing plenty with the detectives and the diamonds. This lady worked hard to make him comfortable here. So, tell me about the ghost you helped today, said Ellen. He used to work at a greenhouse, tending the plants. Now he won't leave. He cares too much about the plants. And someone buried the diamonds in his flower bed? Yes, it bothered him a lot. Connor asked me if I could dig up the bag. Cool. You helped a ghost, and I help you. We make a good team, she said. Yes, I found it interesting the ghost didn't care about the diamonds. He just wanted them gone. I'll call you once I hear from my detectives. More coffee? Ellen topped up his cup. She hadn't touched hers yet. Meanwhile, the 2 villains picked the lock and broke into the greenhouse. If they'd been earlier that night, they'd have caught Ed with the diamonds. They dug up the flower bed and found nothing. Then they messed up several adjacent flower beds, confirming their suspicions. Igor was furious about the mess, but unable to take action. It's gone, said villain number 1. I thought this place was safe. I thought so too. There's no security at night, no CCTV cameras. No one was here when we buried it. Well, someone found it, and we've no way to find them. Perhaps I can get a look at the traffic cameras outside. We might get a lead. You better hope so. Let's go out of this dump. They both left, leaving a mess behind. Well, that's the end of chapter 13. In the next episode we have chapter 14. Ed helps release the mummy from its curse, and Ed rescues Washta. We'll see you next episode, and if you'd like to, please leave a comment or rate this podcast for me. It'll do a lot. Thank you very much.